Welcome to a lesson with Dr. Powell. Let's take a look at an example of a function having a right inverse and what that means. Um, so let's look at this function right here, and suppose its definition is simply to drop the z variable. Okay, just like that. So we can have a function that goes back the other way. And suppose it goes back the other way. So this is f, function going back the other way from here. And suppose it travels to x, y, 0. And then what happens if you run f on this guy again over here? Notice that f applied to this guy gets you back to x, y, which means that if we actually start in the codomain of f, so in R2, and then we run g on it and then run f again, so we run g and then we run f, we end up getting back to the same place. So basically this function is the do nothing function on R2. So input an element, get out the same element. The do nothing function is the same thing as the identity function on R2. So notice that G is on the right side of this in this composition, we call it a right inverse. If we can find a function right inverse for an original function that we're considering, then we know that that function is that f would be surjective. So if a function has a right inverse, it is a surjective function. Now, why is that so? Well, you think about it. All of the fibers are filled if it's surjective, which means naturally you can like take anything in the codomain and it's going to have a preimage. So why don't you just send it to one of those preimages? That's exactly what we did here. Notice that xy0 is one of the preimages of xy. So just send it to a preimage of xy, right? And it's because if it has a non-empty fiber, there's somewhere you can send it. So just send it there. Now, as soon as you send it to a preimage, that's like a function. We've just defined a function. You go from a codomain element, you have somewhere in the domain to go. You just pick something in that non-empty fiber, and then when you send it back, of course, it takes you to the same place. So you get the identity in the codomain, and so it's a right inverse. So a function, if it has a right inverse, is surjective. Thanks for watching.